When people find out I served, they always ask the same thing. Vietnam? No. World War II? No. And then they go quiet, because they have run out of wars they actually remember. That right there, that silence, that is exactly what I have been living with since 1953. I fought in Korea, and if you just said, "Oh yeah, the forgotten war," in your head, well, congratulations. You know the one thing most Americans know about it, which is that nobody knows anything about it. Let me tell you what actually happened. June 25th, 1950. North Korea sent 135,000 soldiers pouring across the 38th parallel into South Korea. I was 19 years old, living in Clarksville, Tennessee. Had a girl named Ruth I was planning to marry. Had a job lined up at the grain mill. Had a whole life right there in front of me. 3 months later, I was on a ship heading to a peninsula most Americans could not find on a map. Here's what they never tell you about Korea. The cold. I grew up in Tennessee. I thought I knew what winter felt like. I did not know anything. Korean winter is not cold like you are uncomfortable. Korean winter is cold like it is trying to kill you personally. We lost men to that cold. Not bullets. Cold. Frostbite took fingers and toes. 70 years later, I still cannot sleep with a window open. My daughter thinks it is just a quirky old man habit. It is not a habit. We fought up and down that peninsula for 3 years. The same hills taken and lost and taken again. There was a place we called Heartbreak Ridge, and brother, they named it right. We would take that hill. They would push us off. We would take it again. Same ground, same blood, over and over. The officers called it strategy. The guys on the ground called it something else. And I will keep this clean and say we called it a waste. Washington called it a police action. A police action. I watched my buddy Ray from Georgia step on a landmine on a Tuesday morning, and they called it a police action. Ray was 20 years old. He had a mother in Savannah who I wrote a letter to when I got home. I still think about whether that letter helped her or made things worse. I came home in the spring of 1953. And here is the part that still gets me. I came home to a country that had basically decided to move on already. There was no ticker tape parade, no crowds at the airport. I got off the bus in Clarksville in my uniform and walked home. My mother made dinner. My father shook my hand. And the next Monday I went to the grain mill and started working. The man at the mill knew I had been somewhere. He never asked where, not once in 38 years. And I never told him. Because nobody asked. Because it was the forgotten war. And eventually, you just start to believe the forgetting is the right thing to do. I married Ruth that July, 9 days before the armistice was signed, which means I got married not even knowing the war was almost over. We just knew we were tired of waiting. Ruth gave me 4 children and 51 years of marriage, and she never once made me feel broken for being broken. She died in 2004, and I have thought about her every single morning since. Here is what I need you to understand. South Korea today is one of the most advanced, most prosperous nations on this planet. Seoul, the city we fought over, the city that was destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed again, is now home to 10 million people. When Korean people hear an American veteran is visiting, they stop, they bow, they say thank you with everything they have. It is only here, in the country we actually fought for, that the silence lives. I am not telling you this because I want a parade. I am 95 years old. Parades do not interest me. I am telling you because every week another Korean War veteran dies. And when we go, we take the truth with us. We take the cold with us. We take Ray from Georgia with us. We take all of it, and it just disappears.
And someday soon there will be nobody left who was actually there. I was there. And I am asking you, just remember that we were. Not the statistics, not the dates, just that real men, boys really, from Tennessee and Ohio and Georgia and California, went to a frozen country on the other side of the world and gave everything they had, and came home and went to work and never complained. That is the American story nobody is telling. I just told it. If this stayed with you, leave the name of a veteran you know in the comments. Any war, any branch, just their name. Let us make sure they are not forgotten either. And if you want to hear more stories like Harold's, there are more waiting for you right here. These voices are almost gone. Do not let them disappear.